Use the pause button on your player if you need longer to read the following screens, and the play button to continue. In this movie tutorial, we'll look at how to write responses for graphic information in the IELTS Academic Task 1 writing. The first part looks at the important points to look for in the task. The second part shows a model task response, and the third part provides response comments. Before you start, we also have a sheet with the task image and the model response. To download the sheet, click the link below the movie. The Gender and Ethnicity at an American University tutorial movie is from our IELTS Task 1 academic ebook. You can find all 15 academic Task 1 writing tutorials and the IELTS Academic Module ebook at www.myexam.com/books. The link is also available on the printable handout for this movie. In this task, you are asked to summarize a series of pie charts about gender and ethnicity at an American university by reporting the main features and making comparisons. This is the task image you are required to write at least 150 words about in not more than 20 minutes. Making sure you have understood the legend is essential to understanding this type of task. Given the fact that the task only involves 6 pie charts, you would be expected to be very careful in your selection of key points and very accurate in your description of the composition of the 3 categories of people according to gender and ethnic group. It would be wise to take a paragraph to detail gender makeup across the 3 categories, comparing them by using words like half, a quarter. Describing ethnic composition could be done in 1 or possibly 2 paragraphs, separating students and those who work at the university, faculty and staff. Avoid any temptation to simply state percentages, but instead look for relationships and emphasize points that are important. Clearly, you would need to contrast the fact that females are only a quarter of the faculty, but nearly 2/3 of the staff. Likewise, you would need to note that high figures for Caucasians in the staff and faculty categories, but lower among the students. It is wise to avoid simply referring to other. It is clearer to state other ethnic groups, or ethnic groups other than Caucasian, African American, Hispanic, and Asian. Now listen to and read each of the paragraphs in the model response.
The pie charts provide a breakdown of the composition of staff, faculty and students by gender and by ethnicity at an American university for 2011. For the student body, the gender split was fairly even, with slightly more male students at 52%. However, for faculty members, males made up 3/4 of the total. This numerical superiority for males was not reflected in the makeup of the staff, where only a little over a third, 38%, were male. Turning to the composition by ethnicity, it is clear that the students come from varied ethnic groups, where no one group exceeds more than 35%. Caucasians were the largest group at 35%, followed by Asians at 23%, while other groups were less than a fifth, with African Americans, Hispanic, and other ethnic groups at 10%, 14%, and 18% respectively. Faculty composition was less varied than the students, because a large percentage, at 79%, was of Caucasian origin, with the Asian group at 15%, and both the African American and Hispanic groups representing only 3% each. The makeup by ethnicity for the staff was similar, in that Caucasians were the majority, but this represented slightly less than half of the total number. This resulted in other ethnic groups being better represented, so that 21% were Asian, 16% were other ethnic groups, 10% were Hispanic, and 4% were African American. Overall, the composition of faculty, staff, and students varied greatly, but the Caucasian group was always the largest in each category.
Note the extensive use of words like fairly even, 3/4, a fifth, a third, less than half, to avoid merely stating percentages. This avoids making your text sound very mechanical. 5 paragraphs are used employing a sensible division of the data. An overarching statement or overview is always valuable and can often act as a concluding paragraph. Some complexity is achieved in the text by the use of the relative clauses and linking words like while and however. The examiner will note the correct usage of respectively, as in with African American, Hispanic, and other ethnic groups at 10%, 14%, and 18% respectively. Where 10% is identified with the first mentioned African American, where 14 refers to the second group mentioned, Hispanic, and where the final percentage refers to the last named other ethnic groups. You can get more help with your IELTS and our ebooks from myenglishexam.com.